So we spent the past 2 days looking at finding the square roots of different numbers and being able to simplify square roots. So we're going to take it up a step. This is the last step. We're going to take it up, and we're going to add in some variables, some letters. So if my variable inside has an exponent that's a multiple of 2, I'm going to take that exponent and divide it by 2. To take the square root of a variable, I'm going to take my exponent and divide it by 2 when it works perfectly. So 2 divided by 2 is 1. So that answer would be x to the 1, which is the same thing as just an x. N to the 5 does not work out perfectly. So what we're going to do is we're going to break it apart. I'm going to take that and break it into the square root of n to the 4th times the square root of n. 4 n's right here, 1 n right here gives me the 5 total n's that I need. And the reason we do this is because now 4 I know is divisible by 2. So I could say n squared to the square root of n, because that square root of n is not going to break down. And that's my answer. It looks a little funny, but trust me, by the time you guys make it to the homework page, you guys will be soaring through it. But I also have these questions that have numbers inside of them, not just variables, but numbers. What I find easiest to do is to break it apart. So that's the same thing as the square root of 9 times the square root of k10. I know that the square root of 9 is 3. 10 is divisible by 2. It works out perfectly. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And there's our answer. Same thing with number 4. I'm going to break it down into the square root of 40, the square root of a to the 19. And both of these are going to kind of simplify differently. So I know that 40 is the square root of 4 times the square root of 10. I would take a few seconds and list out those perfect squares. So 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, 16, 25, 36, 49, 64, 81, 100, 121, 144, 169, 196, 225. Just as a reminder to my kiddos, today is Thursday, so tomorrow we're having a quiz. Can you tell me my first 15 perfect squares from memory? The quicker we memorize these, the quicker these problems go. So the square root of 4 breaks down to 2. The square root of 10 doesn't break down. 19 is not divisible by 2. It doesn't work out perfectly. So I'm going to bring out 1a by itself, which leaves me a to the 18th left. 18 plus 1 gives me my 19. I'm going to take this number, divide it by 2. So I have a to the 9. Then I still have that square root of a. Now everything is as simple as I can get it. I have my perfect squares, my numbers not underneath the radical. And then I have these numbers that are still underneath the radical, or my numbers and my variables. So I'm going to make a radical, and I'm going to put both of them under 1 together. Don't worry, we're going to do a few more of those. So looking at 25, it has lots of things underneath the radical. That's fine. I'm going to break down my 25, my x to the 6th, my y to the 13. So the square root of 25 works out perfectly. It's 5. X to the 6th perfectly divides by 2 into x to the 3rd. Y to the 13th does not work out perfectly. So I'm going to separate it into 12 and 1, because 12 does divide by 2 to give me 6. I'm going to put all my answers not underneath the radical, 5x to the 3, y to the 6th. Then I'm going to put anything left that I have underneath the radical, which is just a y. These boxes are not very big. If you need more room, get paper, staple it together. Miss Mencius and I will not be upset if you need more paper to work through these. So looking at number 6, we're going to separate them. This is going to be the last one to do together. Square root of p to the 15, the square root of q to the 9. I hate when they put q's and 9's together. And the square root of r. None of these are divisible by 2. So I'm going to separate it. P to the 14 and p. Q to the 8 and q. And then I still have that r. P to the 14 divided by 2 gives me p to the 7. Q to the 8 divided by 2 gives me q to the 4. And then I have anything that is left underneath my radicals. These answers get ugly. I get it. Okay, we're going to keep on working through these. My kids, as you work through number 12, you can check yourself on the iPad. Miss Mencius' class, I am sure that she's going to leave an answer key. If not, I'll try to leave one where the sub can check you. And then Miss Mencius' 7th period, I will try to be in there to kind of help you guys out. I want you to work all the way through 7 through 12. And then go ahead and get started on that homework. We've crossed out a little less than half the homework for you. Okay, let's get busy.